Tony, thank you. And you brought in your friend Mike.
Very good friend.
Michael
Fitelson.
Fitelson. And you're the executive director, I understand, from the United Palace Theater in Harlem.
Washington Heights.
In Washington Heights.
It's that next town up.
Okay. I've been there because I follow John Lennon and John Legend, and he performed one day up there. So I discovered this beautiful theater. And now Chitty Chitty Bang's
gorgeous.
And Chitty Chitty Bang Bang's going to be on stage, I understand.
We are going to be there.
Wow. Tell us about what's coming up. It's a movie night, and
well, I'll let Mike talk a little bit about the theater, the theater's events, because he's really running.
He's the boss, right?
He's the boss, and he's putting it all together. Mike, take it away.
Certainly. So the United Palace is this fabulous 87-year-old building up in Washington Heights, Broadway, 175th Street, that opened as a vaudeville house and a deluxe movie theater. And over the years, it's been immaculately maintained, first by Reverend Ike, the prosperity preacher who purchased it in 1969.
Oh, interesting.
And the congregation and the nonprofit have been maintaining it ever since. We brought movies back to the Palace a few years ago with the extremely useful help and grateful help of Lin-Manuel Miranda. And now, every year we do a big movie gala, and we're very happy that on November 19th, Tony and Chitty are going to be joining us with Cheetah Rivera.
Drum roll, Cheetah Rivera.
We missed that. We need Ringo for the drum roll, right?
Cheetah Rivera. Let's say that again. The legendary Cheetah Rivera.
In fact, on Facebook, people have been talking about the event as Cheetah Bang Bang.
Oh, how great.
Which is great. Right?
That's wonderful.
But we'll have Tony and a real-life Chitty car on stage with us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, our control room actually has some photos.
Hey, who's that ham sitting in the car?
Ham.
Is that the same ham that's sitting next to me right now?
Yeah, but that's the replica from the movie car. And what I did is I spent a lifetime researching, trying to get plans together in my head first of all, and then on paper, and then going out and sourcing car parts for years and years. It took me 5 years to build that car, and $100,000 plus, 5,000 hours of work.
Wow.
And basically everything you see on that car is fabricated, but it is a real car. It's running. It's built on a 1914 Overland, which is a real car company back in the teens. It was in competition with the Model T. And that car is actually registered, it runs, and it's an exact replica.
Now, this photo was taken at the auto show, is that correct?
At the International Auto Show, Jacob Savage Center. And we were there for 2 weeks to a tune of 2.5 million people attended in the 2 weeks we were there. And we had people of small kids, people in their 70s and 80s, of all ages, that know the movie, they love the movie, and seeing the car in person, I mean, just to see the expressions on people's faces, to see it up close, and to see the amount of work that goes into it. And, we were very proud. And the auto show had never had anything like this before. You could go to a store and you could buy a Ferrari. You can go buy a Lamborghini or a Mercedes.
Wow.
You cannot go out and buy that car.
Wow.
And we've had many offers and people wanting to buy it.
Over $1 million.
Over $1 million.
Gee whiz.
We had finished the car, and we had it at a concourse show in Manhasset, and we were offered 3 months out of the box. 1.2 million and 1.5 million.
Wow, that's hard to turn away.
It's hard to turn away, but it's such a a labor of love and the passion that went into that, making that car. It's a childhood favorite of mine.
Do you store it at your home location, or do you as a secret location?
We have it. It's like the Batcave. We have an undisclosed location because of the world that we live in. It's a special car, and it's not easily replaceable. It would take me a lot of work to replace that. So. So we're proud to have it.
Yeah.
We're proud that we're going to have it at the United Palace Cultural Arts Center.
And it's actually going to go on stage.
It's actually going to go on stage. We're going to show the movie, the full-length feature film, 1968 Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And that car you're looking at, we had the chance to drive Dick Van Dyke in 2016. We went out to Danville, Illinois.
My home state.
Went out to Danville, and we spent 2 days with Dick Van Dyke and his entourage, and I got to drive him, and went to his childhood house, and had a lot of fun together. And he's 90. At the time, he was 90 going on 91.
Wow.
Drove around the high school that he attended, and there were hundreds of kids, and they were singing, and they were in full costume, and we drove around together, and he was waving from behind the windshield. I said, you can stand up, Dick. You know, you can.
Wow.
You know, this car is yours. You know, for the day. And he stood up in the car, and you could see he looked around, you know, like a periscope, and he looked at all the kids, and they were all singing, and they were dressed, you know, in Mary Poppins costumes and chimney sweeps.
Who's the photographer with these photos?
My lovely wife.
Deborah Sable, right? Very
Deborah
good.
Sable, she's right back there.
Wonderful. Hi,
My
Deborah.
lovely wife, and
Yeah.
she was there, you know, to you know, basically to catalog, you know, everything, because we had, you know, special moments going on with Dick
Wow.
Van Dyke, his wife, and a lot of the locals. They had never had a huge
Oh,
star come to their small town. I mean, this is a small town, you know, from Illinois. The same hometown he's from, Gene Hackman is also
Oh, really? I
from
didn't know
Danville.
that.
Yeah, so
that's great.
it was great. So, you know, getting back to United Palace Cultural Arts, we are extremely proud to have the car, show the movie, and to spend the day with Cheetah Rivera, and
Wow.
we're very excited.
I understand she's going to be there in the afternoon for a VIP reception as well.
She'll be there for a meet and greet before the show.
Wow.
And then she'll come on stage and introduce the movie because she's very good friends with Dick Van Dyke, and she'd do the choreographer from the movie and a lot of the filmmakers. So she'll be able to give a very good, you know, set the stage for everything that follows.
Was it very hard to book her for this kind of event?
She loves. She lives in New Jersey, right across the bridge from the
okay,
palace.
that's good.
She loves the mission of the United Palace of Cultural Arts and restoring this building and bringing arts and culture to a neighborhood where there's very few cultural institutions. So that didn't take any arm twisting whatsoever.
That's great. I'm like in awe here, and I love having
You know,
you
it
here.
just seems like the circle is getting smaller because, you know, we worked with, you know, with Dick Van Dyke,
Oh,
and him sitting in the car, and you know, being able to spend time with him,
surreal.
and him working, you know, with Cheetah Rivera and Bye Bye Birdie on Broadway, and he speaks very highly of Cheetah Rivera. You know, his experiences, you know, with dancing and singing. He wasn't really a, you know, a Broadway star as far as entertaining, and he said that Cheetah really, you know, got him comfortable, and you know,
Taught him to dance, I understand?
showed him the ropes,
Wow.
taught him to dance. I mean, he was a dancer already, but not, you know, professionally trained. So the fact that, you know, they work together, and now she's going to be part of this event. It's just, you know,
Surreal.
it's a small
I'm going to
world
be
after all,
dressing up.
right?
I'm going to get my hair done. Because she's going to be available for meet and greet, I
For meet and
understand.
greet before the show.
Yeah,
Right.
before the show.
You have a special jacket on, I understand.
Well, if you've ever seen the United Palace, it is this spectacular building with all sorts of architectural styles matched up together. We seat 3,400 people. I'm often on stage introducing the show, the movie, the dance performance, whatever it is we're doing. And in order to stand out, you need to find a loud jacket that's going to match everything else that's going on.
Very stylish.
I'm going to be standing next to a flying car in a couple of weeks. No one's looking at
Have
me.
you seen it in person before?
I have not. No.
It's incredible. See, I almost called you Gary.
Why Carrie?
Because of your last name. So Tony and I are Facebook friends, and I've been watching his adventure, you know, with the car. And I know him really from the Strawberry Fields brunch. And,
Yeah.
and so I always wanted him here as a guest. And then but I didn't know him. I didn't know people around him. But then when I saw the Chitty car, and then he went to Illinois, I was like, I'm going to bother that guy until he
Bother
comes.
this guy.
I'm not taking no for an answer until you come in, and so it was really fun for us to have you in earlier this year, and then to have you
we
back
really
with
had
even.
really had a blast, and a lot of good, you know, feedback from friends and from fans. A lot of people, you know, from New York that come to BB King's to see Strawberry Fields. You know, they approach us. Hey, saw you on TV last week. Hey, that was great. You know, and they didn't know about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And people that know about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, you know, with our website and our appearances, they don't know about the Beatles side of the John Lennon thing that I do every week. I've been doing it for 30 years.
Wow.
So it's kind of like a wacky, kind of hokey, the chitty thing, when I was building the car, a lot of my close friends, because I was buried in the garage for 5 years.
You didn't tell anybody about it, right?
Well,
It was a
I
secret?
told a lot of my close friends, but yeah, with the rest of the world, I didn't want to let the secret out because it's such a special thing. You don't want people wanting to know trade secrets. There are a lot of people that have tried to do this, spent an enormous amount of money, and the proportions of the car were wrong. There was a guy.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
There was a guy that was out west. He was from Indiana, and he spent 2 years trying to build a chitty car, and he was working on the rear body of the car. And it's sort of you have to build it sort of like a rowboat, and the wood on the side of the car is all done in planking. The proportions have to be right. So, make a long story short, he got to the end of the planking and it was off. And
wow.
Like way off, the body, and he couldn't create rear doors to open. So he put a chainsaw to the car. Put a
All that work.
chainsaw, right? Put a chainsaw to the car, cut it in half, and said, "That's it, I'm done." And years later, he was on a forum, talking about chitty. Is there anybody else out there that knows how to do this? So there are a lot of guys
Chitty forum?
that have tried to do this, and it's just a sourcing of parts, and just the headlights. I had to make them out of cardboard first, just to get a three-dimensional view of what I wanted, and send them out to a guy that just creates headlights in brass. So that type of thing. So it's a specialized thing. So yeah, I had myself, I was buried for 5 years, and I didn't tell anybody. But my close friends, it was very hokey, and they used to say, "Hey, what's going on, Tony? How's that chitty chitty bang bang thing going?" Ha ha ha. I said, "It's going good." So how close are you? Well, probably a couple of years. A couple of years, what could you be doing for the next 3 years?
It's like a mad scientist.
And it was very hokey. People thought it was a joke. And when it was done, we had a big christening party. My wife created these cards. It said, "Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, christening," 17 feet long, and all the dimensions. And we invited all our friends. We had about 150 people at my house, and we had the unveiling. And people were like, "Oh my God, this is for real. He really is crazy."
Did you tell Ginger where this all started from? The source?
Yeah, the last time we were.
Well, you can share it.
Yeah, in 1968, the movie premiered at Radio City Music Hall on 6th Avenue, and I was 4 years old. My uncle worked for United Artists Pictures, and he was on the stage. He was on the stage crew for the movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which was mostly done in Pinewood Studios in the UK, but there were locations and the storage of a lot of the stuff was done here in New York, right in Astoria. So he was on the stage set and worked for UA. He said, "There's this movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I can get tickets for the premiere."
How exciting.
So I was 4 years old, and my mother said, "Come on, we're going to Radio City. We're going to see this movie about a flying car." And so I was 4 years old. I didn't resist. Flying car.
40-year-old, you couldn't forget.
Right. So I went with my cousin Vinny. He's Italian, cousin Vinny. So it was my cousin Vinny, me, and my mom, who was newly divorced, and she wanted to spend the day with her 4-year-old son, and it was like a bonding thing. So we go see the movie, we get to Radio City, and the movie car was parked out front of Radio City, parked right on the street, and the cast were there. Dick Van Dyke, Sally Ann Howes. And so we walk in and we watch the movie, and I'm sitting there watching this movie, and I tell everybody, because I'm a big kid, you have to see the movie. The car looks great, but if you don't know the movie, you're missing out, because it's a great movie.
You missed the magic. The magic is in the movie.
Yeah, it's a musical, and how could you miss Dick Van Dyke in this movie? He's at he's at the top of his game.
Was the one that was used in the movie, was it a drivable one?
Yes, drivable car.
Oh, it really was.
Yeah, the Gen 11 car, that was the hero car, they called it, because they did all the driving scenes. And that was recently auctioned. That's in New Zealand right now. But that's the car that I got to sit in. I got to drive it, and I spent 3 hours with the car. I actually have a video of myself
While you're building your new one, or when you
Yeah,
were?
I had started, I was in the project about a year, and I found out, because I was keeping in touch with the owner of the car. He was in the UK. And he said, when you come to the UK, you can come see the car, no problem, you're more than welcome to my house. And then he was in his 80s, he decided to sell it. So they shipped the car from England to Los Angeles, and somebody that I knew called me, said, the car is here, we're going to have it for 2 weeks, it's going on the auction block.
Wow.
So I went to go see it, and I spent hours with it, and I was like a little kid, because this is the car I saw in the movie, and I was like, oh my God.
You were reunited.
I said, yeah, actually reunited, and I said the amount of, the workmanship for United Artists, for the movie people to make this car. It's not like today, it's CGI and computers. They actually built, and there were 5 cars they built for the movie.
Really, that many?
So hey, here you have a full-size running car that was built, from scratch. It was the Ford racing team actually built the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang cars. And they wanted to make it look like it came from 1912, 1911, and they pieced everything together, and this is the concept that they came up with.
Isn't that incredible?
And we're going to have that car
Wow.
And
November 19th,
we're going to make it fly.
and we're going to make it fly.
Right?
This is the first thing the kids always ask, does it fly? I said, the car has wings. You're not going to believe the wings are going to come out from this car totally by itself. The car has a heart, and it just loves people looking at it, and it loves children, and it's going to fly.
And it's appropriately named Chitty, right?
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Right, right.
Full name.
Chitty and Cheetah. And if people come to the VIP reception beforehand, before the movie, they can get up close, have their picture taken with the car, and kind of hear up close and personal Tony's story and how he built the car.
And let me tell you, that VIP thing is very special because you're going to be next to the car that, drove Mr. Dick Van Dyke, and he sat, sat inside the car with us.
Yeah.
So you're going to be right next to this car. It's absolutely gorgeous, and these VIP tickets are very, very scarce. We encourage people, if you really want to come and you're interested, to get tickets as soon as you can. The event is in what?
Less than a month.
Little over 3 weeks.
3 weeks. So we're not going to have thousands of people standing around the car, although we certainly are going to try. But if you can get those VIP tickets, they are for sale, and that's a real score.
Yeah.
Either the UnitedPalaceArts.org or Ticketmaster.
And then I know when you had that car on display at the auto show, I'm in busy season at that time, and I was watching every day. I got to get there. I got to get there. I got to meet Tony. I got to meet him. I got to see that car. And then it was over with, and I was like, oh, I missed my opportunity. Now I get one. I'm really excited.
And it wasn't really, putting this car together wasn't for fame and glory. It was because my mother died of cancer, and I told her, from when I was little, that I was going to build this car, and like all parents, yeah, okay, of course you are. So I went through a whole, police career. I went to high school, college, became a cop. I did 20 years in the New York City Police Department as a sergeant. So, but this was always working on me, and so when I finally retired, I had enough time. You're retired now, you work part-time. I still play music in Strawberry Fields, but this car thing, was working on me since I was a kid. She passed away in 2005, never got to see the car. So for me, this was more like a tribute to her and that promise. And the main thing for me was to get out, to finish this car and get it out for people to enjoy. It's not about fame and glory and about trying to make money off of it, because it's about making people smile. And I think the movie speaks for itself. But to see a three-dimensional car that's in front of you, that's an exact replica, is just, it's really something special.
It's really incredible.
That's what it's all about.
And it's going to fly.
And it's going to fly.
And it's going to fly.
We encourage you to believe that because it is true. And we're so happy to hook up with Mike because he really is the
engine.
The voice of the United Palace Cultural Arts. He makes things happen, and it's been a pleasure.
Wow.
putting this event together, and it is going to be great.
We're very happy you called.
Have
Really
you ever
looking
seen
forward.
his show at B.B. King's?
No, but
We
he's,
keep trying.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have to go see it.
When you run a theater, Saturday mornings can be a little tough to get up for.
You gotta
he's
go.
you know,
Gotta
he's
go.
always on premise, and he's always
Wow.
you know, he's always making things happen up there. And it really, you know, I was a cop for years, and I was up in Washington Heights a lot. I was in plain clothes, and I must have walked past
And you never knew what it was.
and never ever knew what was in there. Walked past it 100 times, and I just recently
isn't that
saw the
interesting?
facility about a month ago.
About a month ago.
And I walked in, and I was in awe. You know, I just looked up at the ceilings, and the amount of work that went into this place, and the amount of money and skill is just—it's absolutely mind-boggling. It's like stepping back into 1930. It really is something to see. You know, if you're not excited about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, or you're kind of mixed about it, get excited about the United Palace Theater, because it is absolutely a gem.
3, 2, 1.
New York City has always been a movie town. It's a tradition that began in Nickelodeons and vaudeville theaters and later flourished in the mid-century movie houses that once dotted the city. Unfortunately, many of those architectural wonders disappeared over the decades. Sadly, New Yorkers lost yet another crown jewel when the Ziegfeld Theater, the city's largest single-screen movie house, faded to black in 2016. There is still one theater that was built to show movies the way they used to be. Just take the A train a few stops uptown from Times Square and be transported to a world where dreams come true at the United Palace. It was purchased in 1969 and has been lovingly preserved by the prosperity preacher Reverend Ike and his congregation ever since. In 2013, the nonprofit United Palace of Cultural Arts was founded by Reverend Ike's son Xavier, and movies were returned to the palace, an effort that has been supported by hundreds of donors and thousands of guests. More than just screenings, monthly Movies at the Palace are truly events. We pair classic films with pre-show entertainment that helps audiences connect more deeply with the picture. Honoring the United Palace's vaudeville roots, Broadway superstar Lin-Manuel Miranda hosted our first series of cinematic events. We've had everyone from Broadway performers to Ghostbusters to legends like Rita Moreno and John Landis. Along with our regular programming, we've also hosted film premieres and special events, like live musical accompaniment to movies. Come to a screening and find out why thousands of our guests have fallen in love with the Palace.
This place is exquisite. I've never been here, and I've lived in New York 39 years.
I saw King Kong last year. You have to see King Kong on the big screen.
It's just the most beautiful theater I've ever been in.
The original equipment has been upgraded with a DCP projector, donated by Lin-Manuel, a 50-foot screen, one of the city's largest, and 3.1 cinema sound, creating a spectacular setting for movies. Over the years, we've begun to reawaken the wonder of this timeless movie palace. Please join Lin-Manuel and the hundreds of supporters who are helping to preserve the magic of moviegoing the way it used to be and the way it should be. Together, we'll continue to
That was you on the screen.
That was me on the drums.
That was you on the drums.
Incredible drumming.
How did Lin-Manuel get involved with United Palace?
So I've lived in Washington Heights for about 15 years now.
Oh, wow.
And when I first got up there, I had a long career in newspapers back in California.
Okay.
And I wanted to work for the local newspaper, the Manhattan Times. And I knocked on the door and started working there, started freelancing, and then got more and more work and became the editor. It turns out Lynn's dad, Luis Miranda Jr., owns a newspaper.
Oh, Risen. That's
So I was suddenly, working for Luis, who I didn't know at the time, and Lynn was still a college student. And in summers, Lynn would come back and live in the neighborhood, and he would freelance for me.
Oh, wow.
So I get to tell people that, yes, Lin-Manuel used to write for me.
Wow, that's exciting.
But over the years, I became very close with the Miranda family. And we've done a lot of great things together in Washington Heights, like helping form the Uptown Art Stroll, the Northern Manhattan Arts Alliance. And when it came time when I joined the United Palace in 2012. Lynn had never been to the palace
Oh,
before.
gee.
He'd born and raised in the neighborhood, had
See?
never been. And then it was the 5-year anniversary of In the Heights, when In the Heights came out.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
And they wanted to do a 5-year anniversary concert, so they brought it to the palace. We did this fantastic concert version, sold out. All 3,400 seats were sold out.
Wow.
And a couple of weeks later, Lynn and I had breakfast together, and I said, Lynn, you're a Broadway star, you're an actor, you're a singer, you're a lyricist.
Wow.
What do you want to do in this theater that's in your backyard?
Wow.
And Lynn said, let's bring movies
Oh,
back
isn't
to
that
the palace.
wonderful? Isn't
So
that
we
wonderful?
did a couple of crowdsourcing campaigns to get
Okay.
the new equipment, and
Oh,
Lynn has
okay.
supported the program
That's
ever
fantastic.
since.
Wow, that's a wonderful story. Mike, I understand your children are in the audience.
Yes, I have some family here. Girls, do you want to come up?
3 of them?
Well, I can only claim credit for 2 of these. This is my niece,
Yes, my name's Amanda. Hi.
and this one is,
Margaret.
and over here,
Helen.
and I think they have a message for everybody.
Yes, we do. Girls, are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Come up to the United Palace.
Yay!
That was great.
Yay. Well, thank you
And on the
everyone
first-
for coming in today's show. I really appreciate your time.
We had
Thank you
fantastic-
very much.
Yes, thank you, Ginger.
We'll see you November
Thank you.
19th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you, Deborah. And we'll all see you soon. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for having us.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay.